So today we are talking about Natalia Grace. So Natalia claims that she was 6 years old when she came to the United States from the Ukraine. She says she doesn't remember much about everything that transpired over her adoption process. Something to note about Natalia is that she has a rare form of dwarfism, and that basically means that she has deformities in her spine, hips, and her knees. And this condition that Natalia has automatically makes her look younger than her actual age. So let's talk about Christine and Michael Barnett. So Christine and Michael live in Indiana, and Christine is actually a parenting author and motivational speaker, and she's pretty well known for it. She came out with a memoir called The Spark and talks about her journey through parenthood. Christine and Michael have 3 biological sons. Their names are Jacob, West, and Ethan. And after having their 3 boys, they decided that they wanted to adopt. So pretty soon after that, there was an adoption agency in Florida that had reached out to Christine and Michael. And they told Christine and Michael that they had a 6-year-old girl from Ukraine that they wanted the Barnetts to be paired with, and they gave the Barnetts 24 hours to come up with a decision on whether or not this is something that they wanted to do. Michael said that when him and his family met Natalia for the first time, it was at an office of a strip mall, and they were all sitting there, and Natalia came through the doors and immediately started calling Michael and Christine mommy and daddy before the adoption had ever even been finalized. It was like the first thing that came out of her mouth when she walked through the door. Now, when the adoption happened, Natalia's records indicated that she was born in 2003, and there were children's hospital records and a physician who examined her in 2010 and estimated her age to be about 8 years old. So the Barnetts, who thought they were getting a 6-year-old, then learned that Natalia's estimated age is now actually 8 years old. But they still ended up going through with it, and they still ended up finalizing the adoption. According to Christine, she said on the first night that Natalia came home with the Barnetts and started living with them, Christine was giving Natalia a bath. And when she was giving Natalia a bath, she noticed that Natalia had body hair in places that an 8-year-old should not have body hair yet. They also claim that Natalia hid her menstrual cycles from Christine and Michael. 3 months into Natalia being adopted by Michael and Christine had actually set up a play date for Natalia to hang out with this girl who was also 8 years old, who also had the same exact condition that Natalia had with her dwarfism. So they thought it would be great to get them together. But the girl that was set up on this play date with Natalia, who was actually 8, was way younger than Natalia. Natalia had all of her adult teeth, by the way, at 8 years old. So along with that, Christina and Michael claim that Natalia showed extremely violent behavior, which I also want to get into. So Michael said that Natalia would put clear thumbtacks face up on the stairs in hopes that someone would step on them. There are claims that she also kept knives underneath her bed, and there are also claims that on multiple different occasions, Christine and Michael would wake up in the middle of the night to Natalia standing over them holding a knife in the middle of the night. Christine and Michael also said that there was an occasion where Natalia was caught pouring bleach into Christine's coffee, and when she was confronted about it, she looked straight at Michael and just said with a blank expression on her face, "I am trying to kill you." She would take the boys' favorite items and throw them into oncoming traffic with the hopes that the boys would run into the traffic. And when Christine and Michael asked Natalia why she was doing that, her response was, "I am trying to kill the boys." Christine also claims that Natalia attempted to push her into an electric fence. Natalia claims that she was never violent with the Barnetts and never did any of the things that they said that she did. She completely denies standing over their bed with a knife. So in June of 2012, Christine and Michael actually went to court to change Natalia's age from 8 to 22. According to Michael, he said that one of the main benefits of changing Natalia's age was so that she could be lawfully committed to a psychiatric hospital. The electric fence situation is really the straw that broke the camel's back, and is really what led Christine and Michael to place Natalia into a psychiatric unit in January of 2012. One of the therapists in the unit had spoken to Natalia, and this therapist came forward and said that Natalia had confessed that she was not not actually 10 or 11, but she was 18 years old, and she was acting younger to be treated as a child by parents and strangers. Other staff members of the psychiatric unit claimed that Natalia told them she tried to kill her family members and called it fun, and she explained how she was going to kill them, how she was going to get rid of the bodies, what she was going to do. She went in very great detail as to how she was planning on killing the family. So after a year of being in the psychiatric unit, so it is now 2013, and Christine and Michael decided that they were going to rent an apartment for Natalia in Lafayette, Indiana. And once they did that, the Barnetts basically packed up their lives and moved to Ontario, Canada. Now, Natalia says that when she lived in this apartment by herself, that it was difficult for her.
Other tissues can cause a sore red nose. Try Puffs, the #1 lotion tissue to soothe your blows.
Remember, she has dwarfism, so she already has this major disability, but the Barnetts said that they set her up. They provided Natalia with the social security, they got her on disability, they got her food stamps. She was working towards getting her GED, and she was taking adult classes, which, if you think about it, is not something a 10 or 11 or even 12-year-old would be able to do. This whole story really blew up back in September because Christine and Michael were actually arrested for neglect of a dependent. Their argument in all of this is that they are innocent and there was never any child abuse because Natalia is not a child. And they say that they did what was best for their family. And as of now, Natalia is living with a new family in Indiana, and this family is the Mans family. It is Antoine and Cynthia Mans. And in 2016, they actually filed to be Natalia's legal guardians, but because of the ruling that she is 22 years old by the court, they withdrew the petition. The Mans have said that Natalia has never shown any signs of any aggression, and basically they're just saying that Natalia has been a great addition to their family and hasn't done anything to try to harm them. I do believe that there is a reason that all of these families have been turning her away after bringing them into their home. I think that the violent behavior, for so many people to say that, so many people to say that Natalia has been violent with them and their families, I don't think that it's for nothing. And I do think that there is something a lot deeper going on here. Today we are talking about the case